A couple of weeks back, we discussed the Pentagon's leaked footage that showed what appeared to be glowing objects flying near this Navy destroyer. Now, the video was leaked to filmmaker Jeremy Corbell. He made the documentary Bob Lazar, Area 51, Flying Saucer, and I'm very privileged to be joined by Jeremy now to discuss this video and more. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this video, which you exclusively obtained and you put it out there. Start to finish, obviously we're not going to talk sources or anything. What does the video show? And then what did the Pentagon say about the video?
Right. So the Pentagon confirmed that I was able to obtain and release unclassified images and footage with my mentor in journalism, George Knapp. So George Knapp released 3 images out the cockpit of an FA-18 fighter plane of unidentifieds. So these are unknowns, UAPs, UFOs. These are unknown until known. So that's what we released, is images and video of pyramid-shaped UFOs, or UAPs, as well as an additional set of images of a USO, an object that is transmedium and breaking the barrier between air and sea. And that was off of the USS Omaha. And then, as I said before, 3 images outside the cockpit of an FA-18 fighter plane. And these are extraordinary images and footage that were confirmed by the Pentagon as being filmed by the Navy.
Okay, so whenever we're talking about this, how should we contextualize it, Jeremy? You've been at the forefront of revealing the UAP phenomenon along with the programs within the U.S. government. It seems people like me who are more recent converts, so to speak, in terms of being interested in the issue, that everything broke forward in 2017. Explain your, obviously you were integral in bringing that to light, but also where you think this is going.
Sure. So first of all, my history with the topic is, again, George Knapp has been a mentor to me. He's been on the forefronts of bringing this information about these UAPs forward, for over 30 years. I was able to obtain information and get in on investigating the Nimitz encounters with Commander David Fravor prior to it ever going public. I mean, for like 4 or 5 years prior to that. So we were able to break that story before even the New York Times. So people have started to understand that, this is serious, that I'm, somebody that is trustworthy as far as looking at this information, and that if I release something, I've had it for a while. Now, there is an argument. People are saying, oh, these are Russian or Chinese or an adversarial nation.
Yes.
Now, let's just address that. If that were to be true, that is a bigger problem than something completely unknown or out of this world. So I'd like to keep every possibility on the table until we exclude them. But one thing is for certain. UFOs, UAPs, they represent an advancement in technology that no nation on Earth has ever displayed in the theater of war. And now we are seeing incursions by UAPs in our restricted airspace over sensitive facilities. They can actively jam our radar and weapon systems, and they hover at times and manipulate our nuclear weapons. How is this not important? It doesn't matter where UFOs, UAPs come from. That's an epistemological issue that people can deal with. I'm looking at this as a scientific issue and one from national security standpoint, and a conversation that we need to have either way without ridicule. And that's happening now. That's happening.
It absolutely is happening. It wouldn't have come to, I think, millions of people's attention without this. And as you say, that's something I definitely wanted to talk about with you, which is that in response to your video, there have been a lot of discussion about Chinese and Russian drones, etc., how that could be the possible explanation. As you say, if that's true, okay, let's find out more, because that sounds scary as hell to me. If they can jam radar systems, move beyond anything known to human technology and, mess with nuclear weapons. What is your assessment generally of how the government is handling this? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, there seems to be a new level of disclosure, which is making some people in the community uncomfortable, saying, why is this all coming out now? As somebody who's been trying to get this out for a long time, what's your response to that?
I think it's a dangerously myopic to try to identify unidentifieds just based on one video or two videos. We have electro-optics and sensor data that is just so robust, and more of that is coming out. So I think our government's response, remember, this is a representative government. I mean, we have people representing us, and we have been lied to, for decades, and this is provable. We were told in 1969 the end of Project Blue Book was the end of the U.S. government's interest in UFOs. We later found out from George Knapp about OSAP and ATIP and all of these programs to study UFOs. I will tell you, behind the scenes, the scientific community and our military and defense department, this is the number one topic, because these vehicles, as you see in the images I released of the USS Omaha incursion, what you're seeing are vehicles with a propulsion system that is not a reactionary propulsion system. It appears the propulsion system is a field propulsion system, that these craft might possibly be gravitationally propelled, and that they are transmedium because of that. They can pierce that boundary between air and sea and even space without destruction. And that's what we're seeing, and we're going to see more of with the USS Omaha information. So why? Why now? Why is the government now coming clean on some of this information? It is purely because of an increase of frequency of actual encounters and sightings, and you can argue all day that's because our technology has gotten better. The problem with that is there's an increase in frequency in civilian sightings as well. So they are being confronted. Whoever learns how to reproduce the material science and this technology, whatever nation does that first, they win, game over. So it has been public pressure and us eliminating, expelling this ridicule that has been embedded within, U.S. and global culture, for decades. And we're expelling it, and we're heading it straight on now. We're learning about it, and this is the time.
This is so important in order to, to get rid of that ridicule and the general, way that people look at this. I confess, I probably felt the same way a couple of years ago. I've never felt more strongly about something in such a short period of time. Jeremy, where can people find out more about you, forthcoming news, etc.? Where should people go in order to learn more information?
So I'm really easy to find, maybe too easy to find, but extraordinarybeliefs.com is my website. But really, I enjoy my social media, which is just at Jeremy Corbell, everything, because I'm actually breaking news on there. And I got to tell you something. What I've released, the viral video, the information, what George Knapp and I have put out, that's the tip of the spear. We're about to learn more.
Got it. Well, I can't wait. I'm eagerly awaiting. You got a smile on my face. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us, sir. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for covering the topic. It's important.
I will. All right. We'll have more Rising for everybody right after this.